I want to talk a little bit about preparation and just preparing yourself. I feel like a lot of people out there are not prepared for this type of situation. I should say majority of people, of us, are not prepared for this type of situation. And today on Instagram, I follow somebody named Amy Silverman. I like her because she's no BS. She talks a lot about health and fitness, living sustainably. She talks about plants and animals, and I really just connect with her on that level. I've been following her for a couple years, and yeah, I really enjoy watching her stories. She just gives no shits, and I love that. Also, somebody had tagged her in a post of Ronda Rousey, and I also love Ronda, Rowdy Ronda. And there was a guy that I used to work with that used to say that I was Rowdy Ronda. He said, "Oh, you remind me of Ronda Rousey so much," and da-da-da-da-da. And so I've always just, really enjoyed her up until that whole Heidi Holmes thing. If you guys follow any of that, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And I knew that Heidi Holmes was going to kick her ass, but I'm still a big Ronda fan. Anyways, so down a rabbit hole there. Ronda Rousey shared on her Instagram about living sustainably. She had a video. Go look it up. Go look her up on Instagram. I'm sure you'll see it. And there's just like millions of comments that call her like privileged and rich and all of these things. And so I felt very called, inspired to speak on this, because you do not have to be a millionaire. You do not have to be rich to be prepared for something like this. You don't. And if you think that way, I challenge you to question that, because I'm going to prove you wrong right here, right now, because I am not a millionaire. I'm not. It is a goal of mine someday, just because I want to see like if it can happen. The better it gets, the better it gets. Like, how good can it get? I feel even weird like saying that, but I do. I'm like, I wonder if I can make $1 million someday. So that's a goal of mine. Just throwing that out there. But you don't have to be rich to be completely prepared for a situation like this. You have to look at your life, your lifestyle, and ask yourself, are you prepared? And I see a lot of no's out there, which I think is why people are panicking, why they're so fearful. And that's okay. I mean, it's okay to be scared. It's okay to be fear, a little like on edge, like, this is crazy. Like, if you think about it, every day I wake up, I feel like I am in the movie like Outbreak or something, or freaking some sort of like zombie apocalypse thing. It's like every day people are telling me, this happened and this happened and this happened. I'm like, sweet, great. Like, I recognize that. I'm just going to keep practicing my social distancing and focusing on positive things, because the more I watch the news and that negativity, the more I get fearful and the more anxious I get. And I don't like the way that makes me feel. Now, I'm not saying that I'm like totally ignoring everything, because I do believe that if you're being naive and just ignoring all of this stuff, like, it's going to come back and it's going to bite you in the ass, right? If you ignore it long enough, eventually it's going to explode in your face to where you can't ignore it. So don't ignore it, but also don't be consumed in it. You got to kind of find that sweet spot. And so I was watching Ronda's video, and she says, everybody's panicking and everybody's stocking up and they're taking everything from the shelves. And I was watching and I'm like, wow, I didn't really have to stock up. I really didn't have to take a whole lot from the shelves. Like, I wonder what she's doing that might be similar to what I was doing. And so I started to watch the video, and she's like, and she was kind of a smart ass in it, but I think that's just her personality, and some people took that as she was being snobby and rich and whatever other stuff, but really that's their own shit coming up. I think that's just who she is as a person, is she's just kind of a sarcastic woman, and I personally love that stuff. I love when people can be snarky, so give it to me. I'm here for it. But she was talking about, do we need to stock up on meat? And then she looks in her freezers, multiple freezers full of meat. And I believe that she hunts. So I don't think that she just went to the grocery store and like packed it all up, which I'm not a hunter. I mean, in the event that I had to kill an animal to survive, I would. But I very much could be, I pretty easily could be a vegetarian. Like, I don't crave meat except for bacon. Like, that's the only meat that I ever crave. But I would have a hard time giving up eggs and dairy. I would have a hard time with that. But as far as meat, like, I don't really care either way. But if I had to kill an animal to survive, I know I could. Anything I've ever thought about doing, I've done or plan to do. But my husband is a hunter, right? So we have lots of meat from animals that he has killed himself. We don't necessarily have to go grocery shopping for meat. If I want like salmon or something like that, obviously yes, because I'm not out there fishing right now. I mean, I could, but I'm not. So she talks about, we're stocked up on meat. I'm like, okay, we're stocked up on meat too. And I suppose if all the grocery stores shut down, we still have meat. And so you don't have to rely on a grocery store for meat, you guys. Like, you could go out there and you could hunt, or you could become a vegetarian and live just a sustainable lifestyle. Like, it's okay. I know that's maybe not be like picture perfect, but if it came down to it, you could. So how to prepare for something like this? Do you have enough meat? Get a deep freeze and start stocking up. Maybe you buy 1 cow a year. Maybe you start deer hunting and you have just 1 deer in your freezer. What do they call them? Venison. Maybe you're a turkey hunter or a pheasant hunter and you just have a whole freezer stocked full of birds. Like, you could do something like that and you can ration it out pretty easily at not very expensive. I mean, I know like the weapons and ammo and stuff cost money, but really though, I think you could do it. I think it would be pretty easy to stock up on meat if that was your plan. It's just like money. Like they say, you want to have at least 3 to 6 months of your income stored away in a bank account in the event something like this happens, or you lose your job, or who knows what happens. And a lot of people don't do that. They barely have enough to get them through a week. And I know that there's a lot of people out there living to paycheck to paycheck, and I recognize this because I did it too. I lived paycheck to paycheck for so many years. And then one day I was like, this really sucks and I am done with this. And if I can do it, you can do it. You just have to be aware and wake up and know that, yeah, sometimes it's scary to find new ways to make money or ask for that raise or ask for that promotion or start your own business. But you're never going to get out of this rat race unless you start to do that. You have to push yourself outside that comfort zone and really start to prepare for any scenario, not worst case scenario. And I don't mean that in like a fearful way, but in the back of my head, I'm always like, how can I prepare more? How can I prepare more? Because I am very much like a wing it type of person. I fly by the seat of my pants 90% of the time. And so I have to have some sort of backup because I fail all the time. Like, I mess stuff up all the time. And so I know how I operate. So I prepare for things like this, not like a world pandemic, but the other things that I've prepared for have helped me in this case, have helped our family in this case. And the other thing she talked about is, do we have enough eggs? Do we have enough water? Do we have enough veggies? And so I just started to look and I'm like, okay, well, I live in the Midwest. So obviously, like, I'm not growing a garden right now, but that's what our next step is to start our garden indoors. So, we've ordered some lamps and things like that. But we live in an area where we can garden. I mean, even if you live in town, even if you live in an apartment, you can get a little box and grow some greens pretty easily. You can get one of those hanging strawberry plants, hanging tomato plants. If you needed to, you could totally have fresh fruit and veggies, but you have to prepare for it. And a lot of times people are going to say, I don't have any time, I don't have any money, I don't have a green thumb. It's just like anything else. It takes practice. I still kill plants. That's why I buy multiple plants. Because majority of them, I shouldn't say majority, but about half the time they die. My husband's actually the green thumb, but this is something that I'm going to be working on. So I've been reading a lot more about plants and how to keep them alive and like the different zones and sunshine and watering and plant food, and there's so much to it that I had no idea. I just thought, you threw some horse shit in a bucket of dirt and sprinkled some water on it. It turns out there's a little bit more to it than that. And then the next thing she talked about was chickens, eggs. And I was like, wow, I live somewhere, that's my next thing. If you guys follow me on social media, you know that I'm getting some chickens. And I just found a website that I can actually order them. So I don't even have to go to a store. They will literally ship me my chickens to my doorstep. So the next project is to finish up this chicken coop so that I can have chickens so that I don't even have to worry about eggs anymore. And I might even get 6 butcher chickens so that at the, end of the year, I can have 6 chickens that I can butcher and have little Cornish hens or something like that. You guys may think that sounds terrible, but honestly, I'm going to give those chickens a way better life than they would have at any facility, anywhere. So I'm going to treat them like royalty and give thanks that I'm able to live sustainably from them, right? I mean, I don't know if I'm going to or not, but I thought about it. I probably will, just the way things are going. I'm like, I might as well have a couple dozen chickens I can butcher this fall, and then have, a dozen egg layers, and then maybe I'll have so many eggs that I can just start giving other people eggs. That's how I'm like, oh man, maybe I can make a big enough garden that I can just start handing out tomatoes and potatoes and pumpkins and lettuce and corn and, help my neighbors, because who knows who needs help. And if I have the land, obviously I'm going to help. And if you guys have ever worked with me before, you know that I've brought you buckets of pears and buckets of apples and buckets of pumpkins. Anytime I have an abundance of anything, I'm always sharing, and I don't ask a dime for it. Think if the whole world did that. Think if the whole world, even the people who lived in an apartment, had one plant, or I know you probably can't have chickens in an apartment, but think about it. Or if you had a rainwater catcher or a filtration system. Think if you had a compost bin or you had solar panels. I mean, we have the means to live sustainably right now, but I think have just I hate to even say this, but I think we've really taken for granted what we have available to us, and we've relied so much on technology that we've just disconnected from Mother Earth in general, or in its entirety. And then we want to call the people who have money, quote, privileged because they are living sustainably. We blame it on the money instead of blaming it on themselves. You can go buy a tomato plant for $2. You can go buy a chicken online for $3.50. Yes, you have to feed it, but if it's going to give you eggs for the next 3 years, you don't think that would be worth it? Or if you took up hunting, fishing, any of those things. Yes, I know you have to pay for the license. Yes, I know you have to pay for the weapons to do it. You guys could maybe go team and go with somebody, and you guys all share a rifle. You guys all share a shotgun, or you all share a freaking fishing pole. I don't know. There's just ways that you can do this. And so I'm my brain's starting to think, because I feel like a lot of people are projecting, a lot of people are judging. They see these people who maybe like myself, and I've even gotten some flack from this too. People are like, wow, aren't you fucking lucky? Well, I wouldn't call it luck. I would say that I think about these things, and I think about these things often. I actually went through a phase where I was very survivalist, doomsday, and then I even went through this phase where I watched Naked and Afraid every day it was my job. And so I was looking into how to start a fire out of nothing, and how to fish out of nothing, and how to really if somebody threw me in the woods and said figure it out, how would I live? And so I researched those things. And so while I haven't actually been thrown in the woods and asked to survive, I have the knowledge. I just have to implement it. And again, it's not going to be perfect the first time, because if you throw me out in the woods, I'm probably going to fail it. I'll probably die the first night. Who knows? Especially with the stupid weather lately. But I would at least have an idea of where to start. I'm at least trying to set myself up for success. And the purpose of this podcast wasn't to make anybody feel like they're ill-prepared. The purpose was, I just had a different opinion, a different thought process than some of the others out there when I see other people prepping for something like this to happen. We finger point at those who have more money, or we finger point at those who have gardens, or we finger point at those who have freezerfuls of meat, or we point at those who want to stock up on toilet paper, instead of pointing the fingers back at ourselves and saying, maybe I should have prepped better. Well, if I would have known. Nobody knows, you guys. That is the whole purpose. That is the whole purpose. None of us knows what's going to happen tomorrow. So why are we not prepping today? Why are we not taking action today? In whatever capacity that looks like. Whether that's following your dreams, whether it's starting your family, whether it's buying the house, whether it's starting that garden. It doesn't matter what capacity you're looking at. Like, we always put things off thinking that we're guaranteed tomorrow, and we are not guaranteed tomorrow. We are not. So what are you going to do today to plan a little bit better? There's that saying that always is out there, and it's, if you fail to plan, or if failing to plan is planning to fail. How true is that right now? Like, as a whole world, as a whole nation, like, we were not prepared for this. We as a whole were not prepared for this. So now how can we come together and work together? Maybe not finger point so much. Maybe not say, oh, you're more privileged than me, because I really do feel like there's going to be a lot of prejudice and a lot of racism and things like that come out of this. We've already seen it in some capacity. And so how can we be more compassionate? How can we be more loving? How can we spread more abundance? If you have enough to give and you feel called to give, then by all means, please do. But do not give from a fearful or anxious state, because that's not helping anybody. That's just creating more fear and more anxiety. So if you're over there hunkered down like, oh, I don't have anything to spare, then don't. Find a way to just be at peace with that. It's okay. But if you feel like you have, I don't know, fruits and veggies and meats and fish and toilet paper to share with others, then by all means, please do. Like, we're seriously in this together. And I think Rhonda's whole purpose of showing that video is that, like, each and every one of us have a choice to prepare for something like this. You don't have to have millions of dollars to do this. Chickens are fairly inexpensive. Getting a sustainable, what am I trying to say? Like, rainwater catcher. Like, you could make a barrel yourself pretty easily and use that, and maybe it is not to the scale that she does. But again, that's the comparison part. What we're doing is comparing our life to hers. And just because she may be a millionaire, she may have this money, her stuff may look a little fancier, doesn't mean that it's any better. Doesn't mean that we're any less than. We still have the opportunity to kill our own food and grow our own greens and have our own eggs and have our own clean drinking water. It just looks a little bit different than hers, and that's okay. The point of her video, I believe, is that we can all leave a less footprint on this earth by living a more sustainable life. I think they say that it's like reducing your carbon footprint, basically, by reducing our consumption and really creating, like, the word that says, like, me, like, I have a homestead, right? Like, so, and that's, I like that word a lot, like a little homestead or a little acreage. Like, we don't have a lot, but we have enough. I'd like to have more, but we have enough. And you got to start somewhere. So why not start today? Instead of panicking and fear and anxiety, maybe start your indoor garden right now. Maybe look into how you could have a drinking water system for when the spring season comes around. You can start collecting rainwater and then using that for your plants or using that for something else. Maybe what you do is you look into hunting. Maybe you look into fishing. There's so much stuff that we can do out there if we would just stop pointing the finger and put on our how can I hats and make it happen. And just know that, like, again, we are in this together. We are in this together. There's no judgment. There's no finger pointing. I know people are scared. I know this is crazy times. I seriously, like, I still can't wrap my head around it. I still feel like this is just a bad movie or, a doomsday movie. But it's not. This is our real life. So what are we going to do about it? The future is unknown. Like, none of us are guaranteed tomorrow. And that's what I want to leave you with, is that we don't know what's going to come tomorrow. So you need to take action today. You need to take action today. I hope this finds you well. I hope you find this inspirational. And just know that I'm here to talk if you need it. I know these are hard times that we're living right now. So if you need somebody, I'm here for you. Hit me up on Instagram. Send me a message at support@sashadavis.com. I'd be open to having a conversation with you. And, or maybe you just send me a message. You're like, I just need to scream. Like, that's okay too. All right, guys. Catch you tomorrow.